For years, I watched my mom celebrate my sister's gotcha day like a national holiday while my own birthday barely got a passing glance. Last year, I finally stopped showing up, and that's when everything started to unravel. "You're a man now. You don't need parties." That's what my mom said on my 18th birthday as she zipped up an overnight bag, all smiles and sunscreen, ready to take Clara and her friends to a lakeside cabin for the weekend. My weekend. My birthday weekend. I stood in the hallway clutching a gift I'd bought myself the week before, a new journal I'd been too embarrassed to ask for. She brushed past me like I was the wallpaper. There wasn't even a card. Clara, 15 at the time, popped out of her room in flip-flops and pigtails. "You sure you don't want to come?" I wanted to scream. Of course I wanted to come. Of course I wanted to be included. But I just gave a half-hearted shrug and lied, "Nah, I've got plans." Plans? I ended up watching movies alone in the basement with leftover pizza and a warm bottle of root beer. The kind of night you try to forget but never really do. It wasn't the first time. And it definitely wouldn't be the last. You see, my sister Clara is adopted. My mom flew halfway across the world to bring her home when Clara was 5 and I was 8. That day became Gotcha Day, her adoption anniversary, and over time it started to eclipse everything else, including my birthday. I didn't hate Clara. Never did. Still don't. She's amazing, honestly. But growing up, it felt like I was slowly being erased while everyone else clapped louder and louder for the new star of the show. And that summer, when I was 18 and invisible, something inside me broke in a way I didn't understand yet. Fast forward 10 years. I'm 28 now, and I haven't spoken to my mom in almost a year. That's not something you plan. You don't wake up and say, "Today's the day I ghost my mother." But after the last gotcha day, the most extravagant one yet, I just stopped. Stopped answering texts. Skipped Christmas. Let her birthday pass without a call. Clara messaged me asking if everything was okay. I told her everything. I expected anger. Maybe confusion. Instead, she cried. Said she always had a feeling something was off. Now, my mom's telling Clara she doesn't understand why I'm being so dramatic. So here's my question. Am I really just holding a grudge over birthday parties? Or was there something deeper being ignored all along? Maybe just something. Instead, I found my mom in the kitchen frosting cupcakes. Not for me. For Clara. "Gotcha Day Eve cupcakes," she said cheerfully, not even glancing at me. I asked, trying to sound casual, "Hey, are we doing anything for my birthday?" She blinked like she'd forgotten what day it was. "Oh, we'll do something later this week, okay? It's just, this is more important." More important. I laughed like it was a joke, but something in my chest tightened. My own birthday was now less important than an imaginary holiday we made up for Clara. And the wildest part? That wasn't even Gotcha Day. It was the day before. I told myself then, maybe I'm being selfish. Clara had a rough start. She deserved to feel special. But over the years, it didn't stop. If anything, it snowballed. Gotcha Day turned into Gotcha Week. Parties with themes, scavenger hunts, t-shirts with her face on them. One year, my mom even rented a pony. My birthday? Half the time, I was lucky if anyone remembered it in the morning. And it wasn't just the parties. It was how my mom looked at her. Like Clara could do no wrong. Meanwhile, I'd get grounded for rolling my eyes or speaking with tone. Clara would skip chores or come home late and get a pat on the head. I started pulling back. No tantrums, no fights, just quiet distance. I figured if I couldn't compete, maybe I could disappear gracefully. By the time I left for college, I barely felt like part of the family. They didn't throw a going-away party. No care package, no banner over the garage. My mom texted "good luck" the night before I moved into my dorm. That was it. And even then, I still called. I still came home for the holidays. Still remembered her birthday even when she didn't remember mine. Until last year. Until that Facebook post. That was the moment the dam finally cracked. I watched, phone in hand, as my mom posted a full tribute for Clara's 20th Gotcha Day, a video montage, dozens of photos, paragraphs about how that day changed her life forever. It got hundreds of likes and comments. People gushed about what an amazing mother she was. My birthday had come and gone the week before. She posted one blurry photo from 5 years ago with the caption, "Happy birthday, son." No name. No emoji. Not even a heart. I remember staring at that post, wondering if I was crazy for feeling so small. And I asked myself, right then, how long do you have to be invisible before it's okay to walk away? I didn't make a big announcement when I cut contact. No angry texts. No cryptic Facebook posts. No family group chat drama. I just went quiet. And man, the silence was loud. Christmas came. No call. No visit. Just me, a bottle of wine, a playlist I made myself, and the weirdest sense of peace I'd felt in years. Then my phone buzzed. It was Clara. She'd noticed. Of course she had. She always noticed. Hey, her message read, "Everything okay? You haven't been around much lately." I hesitated before replying. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a long time. Then I typed it all out. Not with bitterness. Just truth. I told her how I always felt like a background character in my own family. How my birthdays were more like afterthoughts. How every year I watched her celebration grow while mine faded into nothing. I hit send and instantly regretted it. Until she called. I picked up, bracing for guilt or disbelief. Instead, she cried. "I always had a weird feeling," she said through sniffles. "But I didn't know it was like that. I'm so sorry." That moment? It broke something open in me. Not because I wanted an apology from her, but because it confirmed I wasn't crazy. She got it. Meanwhile, Mom didn't. She started blowing up Clara's phone instead. "What did I do wrong?" she asked. Clara told her. Everything. And just like that, the narrative flipped. Now I was holding a grudge. Now I was the one being cold. The son who disappeared over a few birthday parties. She didn't get it. Still doesn't. But that first birthday I spent without her? I woke up, made pancakes just for myself, bought a ridiculous cake I didn't have to share, and watched my favorite movie from when I was a kid. For the first time in decades, I didn't feel like I was missing anything. No guilt. No second place. No comparison. Just me. Doing exactly what I wanted. The first real crack came when Clara texted me a screenshot. It was a message from our mom. "I just don't understand. How could he think I love Clara more? That's ridiculous. I've done so much for him. Tell him to stop being dramatic." I stared at that message for a long time. It wasn't just denial. It was deflection. Like my feelings were an inconvenience she had to manage, not something to actually consider. Clara followed it up with a voice memo. Her voice was tight, low. I tried. I really tried to explain it to her. But she keeps twisting it like you're jealous or just bitter. I told her it wasn't about the gifts or the cake. It's the pattern. The way she made you feel invisible. There was a pause, then she whispered, "I think she's scared. Not of losing you. Of being the villain." That hit hard. I'd always imagined if I disappeared, my mom would come charging in with apologies and tears. A grand gesture. Something. Instead, she was running PR. She started calling relatives. Feeding them this watered-down version where I was ungrateful and moody. That I was always like this. Cousin Mark reached out. "Heard you're not talking to your mom. Everything cool?" I gave a vague response. Then Aunt Lisa texted, "Your mom's heartbroken. You should call her. Life's too short." No one asked why I wasn't speaking to her. Just told me to get over it. That's when I realized this wasn't just about my mom. This was about how easy it is for people to dismiss pain that isn't visible. There was no shouting match. No slammed doors. No fight to point at. Just years of quiet neglect. And that kind of hurt? It's the easiest for people to ignore. I started to wonder if maybe I was crazy after all. Maybe it really was just birthdays. Then Clara called again. "She told me something weird today," she said. "She said you always liked being independent. That you didn't want attention. That you were never really into parties anyway." I laughed. It wasn't funny. It was revisionist history. "She's rewriting it," I said. "Because the truth makes her look bad." Another pause. "Are you okay?" Clara asked. And honestly, I didn't know how to answer that. 3 weeks later, I got an invitation. Not to a gotcha day. Not to a birthday. A retirement party. My mom was retiring from her job of 35 years and Clara was helping plan a big celebration. They were renting out a restaurant, inviting old coworkers, family, everyone. I stared at the embossed lettering like it was a joke. There was even a little RSVP card pre-stamped. All very proper. All very cold. No call. No personal message. Just a formality. Clara called me the next day. "I didn't know she sent you that." She thought it would be a gesture. Like an olive branch. An olive branch would have been a phone call, I said. An apology. Not a party invite sandwiched between pizza coupons. "I know," she sighed. "But she's not great with real gestures. She thinks if you just show up, everything goes back to normal." That was the thing. My mom didn't want to fix anything. She wanted to skip the messy part and fast forward to the photo op family, smiling, pretending everything's fine. I didn't RSVP. 2 days before the party, she texted me directly for the first time in months. "Mom, I hope you'll be there. It would mean a lot." I stared at the screen for a long time. Not "I miss you." Not "I'm sorry." Not "let's talk." Just pressure. Guilt and a bow. I didn't reply. The night of the party, I took a long walk, turned off my phone, bought myself dinner from a food truck and sat on a park bench watching strangers laugh and spill drinks. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. But the next morning, the messages started. From Mom, I can't believe you didn't come. People asked about you. From Lisa, it hurt your mom. You need to stop this. From Clara, she cried, you know. Real tears. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I almost caved. Almost. Until Clara added, she said maybe you're just broken. That you've always been hard to love. That broke something else inside me. This wasn't just about the parties anymore. This was about a pattern. A story my mom kept telling herself and everyone else so she wouldn't have to face what she did. And I realized then. The real grudge wasn't mine. It was hers. Clara invited me to coffee a week later. Not a casual thing. She said it was important. I showed up early, grabbed a booth by the window, half hoping she'd cancel last minute. She didn't. When she walked in, her expression was tight, eyes already tired. She sat down and skipped the small talk. She's not doing great, Clara said. I nodded. That's not my problem anymore. She chewed her lip, then asked, would you ever forgive her? Like, if she actually owned it? I didn't answer right away. I looked out the window, watched a kid drag a balloon down the sidewalk, the string wrapped around his wrist like an anchor. Do you remember my 13th birthday? I asked. Clara blinked. No. What happened? Exactly, I said. That was the year I sat at the kitchen table for 2 hours waiting for someone to remember. Eventually I gave up, microwaved leftovers, and went back to my room. She came in later with a grocery store cake. Said she forgot because she was getting stuff ready for your gotcha week. Clara winced. That wasn't a one-off. It was the story of my childhood. She nodded slowly. I believe you. Then she added, but she's still her mom. And there it was. The unspoken pressure. The shared guilt of the unfavored child trying to make sense of a parent who played favorites. I looked at Clara. You're not responsible for fixing her. Neither am I. I know, she said. But it feels like I'm stuck in the middle. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Then maybe it's time you step out of the middle. We sat there in silence for a long time. Then Clara whispered something I wasn't expecting. She told me once, after a couple glasses of wine, that she didn't mean to love us differently. She said you were easier to let go of. I laughed, sharp and bitter. That's supposed to make it better? No, Clara said. But maybe it explains everything. We finished our drinks in silence. When we stood to leave, Clara gave me a long hug. No matter what happens, she said, you're still my brother. And I see you now. That was the first time I believed her. 2 weeks after coffee with Clara, I got a letter. An actual letter in the mail. Blue ink, Mom's handwriting. The envelope was thin and soft, like it had been handled too many times before it reached me. I stared at it for a day before opening it. It was 3 pages long. Not an apology. Not really. It was more like a confession. She wrote about the day she brought Clara home. How terrified she was. How she felt this overwhelming need to make Clara feel safe, wanted, anchored. She said she didn't realize at the time how that could come at the expense of someone else. Me. I think I thought you were okay, she wrote. You didn't cry. You didn't complain. I mistook your silence for strength. She talked about the birthdays. About the gotcha days. About how she let one become louder than the other. She said she was sorry, but not in a clean way. It was messy, guilt-soaked, written like someone afraid the paper might judge her too. Then she wrote something that stuck with me. I'm not asking for a redo. I know I can't undo any of it. But I want to know if there's still space in your life for me, even if it's just a corner. I folded the letter slowly. Sat with it for hours. It didn't fix anything. But it felt different. It wasn't a party invitation. It wasn't a text demanding my presence. It wasn't gossip filtered through Clara. It was her. Raw. Uneven. Human. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept thinking about how much I'd wanted this, acknowledgement, honesty, something real. And now that I had it, I didn't know what to do with it. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a slow, painful thaw. And I wasn't sure if I was ready to melt. I didn't reply to the letter right away. I left it on the kitchen table and lived around it. For days, it just sat there, folded in half, daring me to pick a side. Eventually, I sent a text. Nothing dramatic. Just, got your letter. Thinking about it. She responded almost instantly, thank you. Then, take all the time you need. That actually surprised me. No guilt trip. No emotional ambush. Just space. The one thing I'd wanted all along. Clara called me 2 days later. She hasn't said much, she said. But I think she's trying. I mean, it's late, but I think she's finally trying. Trying, yeah. But I still didn't know what she was trying for. Redemption? Connection? Closure? Maybe all of the above. So I decided to test the waters. I sent her a message the next weekend, going to the farmer's market tomorrow. 10 a.m. if you're around. No fanfare. No expectation. Just a test balloon. She showed up. On time. Alone. No makeup. No speech rehearsed. She just walked up, held out a coffee like it was a peace offering, and said, "You still like oat milk, right?" I nodded and we started walking. No big talk. Just stalls and samples and idle comments about overpriced tomatoes. At one point, we passed a bakery stand. She pointed to the lemon bars and said, "Used to be your favorite, right?" "They still are," I said. She smiled. "I forgot that." And I could hear the weight in that word, forgot. We didn't talk about birthdays. Or gotcha days. Or anything heavy. Just small, safe things. But when we hugged goodbye, awkward, light, real, she whispered, "Thank you for letting me show up." And weirdly, I was glad she did. Not because everything was fixed, but because for once she was showing up without asking me to shrink first. Clara called me later that night. "She told me you met up," she said, her voice careful, like she didn't want to scare the moment away. "Yeah," I said. "Just coffee and overpriced bread." There was a pause, then she seemed different after. Not fixed. Just softer. I knew what she meant. The next few weeks were strange. My mom and I didn't dive into the past. No big emotional sit-down. Just little check-ins. Random texts. The occasional photo from her garden or a recipe she was trying. It was like we were learning each other from scratch. And then last month, Clara organized a small family dinner. Just the three of us. No holidays. No expectations. Just a meal. I almost bailed at the last minute. But I didn't. When I showed up, there was a store-bought chocolate cake on the counter. My mom saw me looking and said, almost sheepishly, "I wasn't sure what kind you liked anymore." "Chocolate's still good," I said. And for a second, I saw something in her eyes, fear, maybe. Or hope. We ate. We talked. It wasn't perfect. But it didn't have to be. At the end of the night, she walked me to the door and said, "I know I can't go back. But if you ever want to tell me about the things I missed, I'll listen." I nodded. Someday. And that was enough. Not a resolution. Not a grand finale. Just a door left open. A few days later, I had another birthday. I didn't throw a party. Didn't expect calls or gifts. But my phone buzzed that morning. A message from my mom, "Happy birthday. I know I haven't always gotten it right, but I'm proud of the man you've become." And below it, a photo of a cake she'd baked. Slightly lopsided. Icing a bit smudged. But this one had my name on it. And for the first time in a long, long time. That felt like enough.